important aspect of tabling a report on the progress made in achieving Article 10. So what does Article 10 say? On the national values and principles of governance. The national values bind every state officer, public officer, and all persons in, I'll quote this, making or implementing public policy decisions. That vision that the president was talking about is part of public policy decisions, the process of making and, of course, eventually implementation, and says that some of those values are patriotism, national values, sharing and devolution of power, the rule of law, but also importantly, democracy and participation of the people. When you listen to the president talking about his ambition for a first world country, it sort of comes off as his own ideas. The past few weeks, he has spent communicating to the country at public rallies on top of cars, saying that he has discussed with other leaders, including the late Raila Odinga, with the fourth president, Uhuru Kenyatta, and they have agreed that the idea here is to take Kenya to the first world. So if that is the decision that he has arrived at, what is the participation of the people? Public, and the people are the people. The people are not advisors of the president. It is not the cabinet. It is not the president and his office. It is the people. So is this the start of that public participation by reporting to Parliament? But then again, the address today was supposed to be a report of what has been done in attaining the national values and, of course, the international obligations of the country as per the Constitution as he provides. But that does not stop the president from airing his ambitions. And I look at it and I think the race to 2027 has officially begun with what the president said. And why do I say that? As you heard the president enumerate the number of projects that he is going to execute, or rather, that the country needs to execute, because I do not think entirely it's his work. You could see the members of parliament that are in the House, and I have to say also that if you look at the attendance, there's one side of the House that was fairly empty. Not many members were in attendance. But as soon as he was talking about listing the roads that will be constructed, everyone was, or most people were up on their feet and chanting two-term, two-term, two-term. So really, I look at it as an ambition presented to the people's representatives as a launching pad to the race 2027, making promises, but then you wonder, what happened to the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, which was the plan? It had 5 pillars. Now we have 4 new pillars. What is the progress of the 5 agenda, the 5-point agenda that was? Whether it's about inclusion, financial inclusion, if it's the question of Hustler Fund, the promise was 50 billion shillings every year. We are officially in the 4th year, so we have already done 3 years. Ideally, mathematically, 150 billion shillings should have been made available to the Hustler Fund, to the hustlers themselves. If you have to look at what has been happening, the report, according to the president, is that 80 billion shillings has already been disbursed to 7 million Kenyans, as he says, and also says that 7 million Kenyans have been taken off the
credit reference bureaus.
Yes, exactly, the credit reference bureaus, where people could not access loans because they were in bad score. Now, that was financial inclusion. There was an aspect of food security. How well are we doing that? If you look at the figures that he's citing, that we have turned from subsidizing consumption to subsidizing production. He tells us that maize production has grown to 67 million bags. This is a claim that has been repeated by so many people, including Geoffrey Ruku, when he was Member of Parliament of Mbeere North, now a Cabinet Secretary. It has never been backed with facts. The president said today, he now brings this to the floor of the House, that 67 million bags have been harvested in the year 2024. The data, according to the same government, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, it's saying that actually we just harvested about 47 million bags of maize, contrary to what the president is saying as 67. So a reflection of the president on what he has done, but also what he's hoping to do. If you have to look at that aspect of the 50 mega dams, during the 2022 campaigns, the promises was that the government would build 100 dams, serious dams. Now that number has been reduced to 50 mega dams and 200 medium and small dams. The plan is good. The ambition is good because you want to irrigate the farms and grow more food for food sufficiency or food security in the country. But how do we get there? The other aspect that we must look at, so how do you make those decisions? Is it based on a manifesto? Is it based on wishes of the government of the day? Because again, the question of 5 trillion shillings, Jamila, and saying how it's going to be funded, how do we exactly achieve that? So I think there's so much work to be done right there. But at the same time, if you have to look at the Vision 2030 and the aspect of the economic pillar that was hoping to industrialize this country, where is manufacturing in this plan?
Yeah.
Because if you're hoping to get there and you're hoping to grow the skills and innovation, that cannot happen without manufacturing. Manufacturing is the only thing that can give us jobs because we have seen that in the service industry, we can only depend on the private sector. If you're talking about the public goods, so that's teaching, security, health, the government, yes, will step in, but look what we're having. In the counties, they're talking about overly populated in terms of the employment opportunities. The revenues we are collecting are not sufficient to employ new people. So the only avenue is in perhaps mining, perhaps manufacturing. I don't hear the president very clear on that. So yes, we might get different ways of financing programs or projects to build all those roads that you're talking about, but you still have no jobs. So you can imagine having so much road infrastructure, logistics were well invested, but you don't have jobs. SGR is a good case example. We have it from Mombasa all the way to Suswa. How many jobs in manufacturing has that facilitated for us to say that indeed there's a real impact? I think even if this is at the initial stages, there's no clarity of thought of what that strategy is supposed to be, Jamila.
And today the president talked a lot about what we are saying about Kenya can leap to a fast world. It can be a fast world country. Let's listen to what the president said, and then we continue with this discussion.
Kenya